Accounts people, time to have a look at the written task on our practice paper. So task 8 and task 9 are written. First one I'm going to focus a little bit more on the technique. The input is fairly easy. The task 9 though, we must focus on the losses because it does cause a few problems. So let's build a 100% answer. And like a lot of written answers, we could carry on and on and on. Must make sure we don't waffle. Waffle is not good. Everything relevant is, and sometimes there is a tough borderline between this. There is some mention in the examiner's reports that is coming up anyway on one of the slides. So our question, Edwards, the sole trader, annual profit of up to 100,000. We're going to assume £100,000, and he takes drawings. Doesn't obviously take all the money out. 4,500 is a lot less than 100,000, although of course it's going to be paying tax on a lot of the 100,000 anyway. His wife helps in the business. She takes orders, deal with paperwork, so she's doing something useful. And Edward is thinking of changing the sole trader status. He probably should. She is helping. In legal terms, if she challenged it, she is a partner. If this was carried out, they're thinking of an 80-20% split of the profits, and they're worried about being considered tax evasion, which of course is illegal and therefore fines and potential imprisonment. So difference between tax evasion and tax planning. No mention of avoidance on this one. However, we could possibly use that in our answer. I have actually. So, and then we need to explain the third part sometimes. So sometimes the last bit of a question gets missed out. I'm assuming 6 marks for this. The AAT questions, and as per their practice papers, will give you the actual precise mark available for any task. So let's have a go. Let's start off with our basic answer. Tax evasion is illegal and unethical methods for not paying tax by not disclosing income or hiding income and assets. Could say usually in that as well. Keyword here, whereas, because that's making it clear it's a differentiation, so grammatically perfect there. Tax planning means managing affairs using the tax laws with an ethical framework to ensure no more tax is paid than is fair. On the basis, of course, a lot of people pay more tax than they need to, they just don't know the relevant tax rules. So far we've got 2 or 3 marks out of our 6, so we need to build and complete, and unfortunately a lot of students stop here. They can do these bits, that's nice. Most people know the evasion, especially if you've done the personal tax laws. You should really by level 4 be able to define tax evasion. So carry on then. A partnership seems here a natural state of affairs. It's not waffle, this is relevant. They are actually working as a partnership. Emma already contributes some meaningful work, the correct terminology, so it's right, she should be rewarded. Edward's motive may be to do this rather than minimise tax payments. It doesn't say he's trying to minimise tax payments in the question, and there would certainly be better ratios that could save money in terms of tax. They could actually do a slightly higher ratio towards Emma and save more tax than the 80-20 works out at. It is perfectly ethical and within guidelines to ensure the household uses all available allowances at nil rates. Again, we could have said husband, wife or civil partner, which it doesn't now. Likewise for joint earnings, they go to the individual that is in the lowest tax band. So we've got so far, we're up to possibly 4 or 5 marks. We just need a good conclusion. So reading the question carefully, it says explain which of these, not state. So if you just state it, this is a little bit at the bottom actually, this is tax planning, that's not an explanation, so there's a mark lost. So my conclusion, in this case, because it is fully legal and ethical, changing to a partnership would be considered tax planning. This would not be the case if Emma was not contributing, being a partner in reality, in which case the definition of tax avoidance would be more accurate, because it would be unethical and using the tax regulations in a way they're not meant to be. So now we've pretty much got our full marks, 6, 7, even if it was out of 8, there's enough there to do that. And obviously make sure explanations are explanations, not state. Having marked a few of these recently, a lot of students just stated tax planning. So they were right, but they didn't get the full marks. So key points, what have I done? I have answered all parts of the question, explanations where required, statements if the question asks for, and I've earned the marks. Everything relevant included. Yeah, I could carry on and on and on about case law and partnerships and all sorts of stuff. And I've used a lot of the best terminology, the meaningful work. The where asked to differentiate makes it nice and clear. Let's have a go at part B. So this is a very different little written task. It's all numbers. And examiners report bemoans students not using the correct figures. Students who study personal tax have a big advantage here. They would have done lots of these calculations. But then if you do business tax first, when you do personal tax, you've got a bit of an advantage back. The rates are needed are all in the reference guide, so a little bit of practice. And obviously this is marked assuming you're a business tax student, not a personal tax student. So let's have a start. So first of all, the assumption, I'm assuming the £100,000 profit is the correct figure. However, the drawings figure has no impact on the tax he pays as he's taxed on trading profits. Drawings are not an allowable expense. In fact, they've never been an expense. I must admit, I hate it when I come across teachers who taught expenses, drawings as an expense. It gets you through level 2 trial balance question, but it's very technically wrong. So part B, so carrying on with it. So the main part of the answer, so start main. This one doesn't need a conclusion by its nature, but it still needs an introduction and the main part to get maximum marks. So on his £100,000 profit, he's paying 0% income tax on the first 12,570, his personal allowance, then 20% on the normal 37,000 band. I'll put the numbers in there, of course that's the difference between 50 to 70 minus 12,570. These numbers, of course, if you don't know them off by heart, they are in the reference material. Maybe practice using them a little bit. Above this he pays 40%, the top 49,730, which is the 100,000 minus 50 to 70 if you wanted to put the numbers in. I've actually put a full stop in there. It's actually meant to be 27,437 income tax. I'm sure you can work that one out though. And the same bands and allowances apply to national insurance class 4. Make sure you get the word that it is class 4 in there. But 0%, 6% and 2%, adding up to a total national insurance 3,256 and 60 pence. Both would be paid together in 2 payments on account, 31st of January during the tax year, 31st of July just after the tax year, and balancing payments 31st. It's a bit arguable as to whether that's needed, but reading the question is explained how he's currently subject to income tax. So the payment dates in a way are being subject to income tax and national insurance. So it's good knowledge to show that you know that they're paid together and the payments on account. So that's pretty much done. Everything's complete. No need for any conclusion, just be complete. So yes, I've got the 0% easy to miss out, and obviously I've got to make sure it's class 4, or not to complete the calculations, leave them suspended. I mentioned earlier, might get away without the payment details. Just have a look and make sure the marks have been earned. Also, obviously questions like this, avoid the terminology might not be understood. I wouldn't use NRB, the nil rate bands, and obviously make sure you clear here it's a personal allowance we're talking about, not a nil rate band, the under 12,570 for a sole trader. Part C, the last bit. This is the one, the more I looked at it, the more I can write. I could go in now and add a few more words. Obviously you have to watch that you don't spend valuable exam time adding unnecessary detail or going off on a tangent, going off into other discussions. So a little bit of personal control and practice against the clock is needed. Make sure you do practice. The AAT ones obviously are against the clock, but they don't give you any feedback or marks for your written tasks. So screenshot them and get your teacher to have a look at them, or somebody understands the marking criteria. Examiner's quote. Well-prepared students often write significantly more than would be required to gain the maximum marks available on task 8 in particular. That's straight out of the most recent examiner's report. Also, mentioned some concerns about students confusing sole traders and limited companies. This one's actually a partnership, so effectively unincorporated versus limited. Um, and then actually just says, the examiner says, does your answer show you that you can give tax advice, or does it sound like you can give tax advice to a client? Because that's what you're doing. You've got to think, this is my client, I'm giving them some advice. So let's get on with it then. So explain the impact of income tax and national insurance for Edward and Emma are forming a partnership, and any practical issues. Obviously any practical issues, there were lots of practical issues. What I haven't put in is their husband and wife, and this could cause domestic problems. I don't think you'll get any credit for that, maybe if you're scratching around for a practical issue. And suggest an alternative ways. I've got two, so there is a second bit to the answer, that Emma could formally be involved in the business. So again, the question has specific parts: income tax and national insurance, practical issues, and an alternative way. So let's get on with it then. So again, the answer's up there, so you can pause if you want to read the answer a little bit more carefully rather than just me going through the numbers now. If she's about to join the partnership, then she should be paid £20,000. That's currently classed as Edward's trading income. So we've already calculated how he's taxed on it, but actually it's effectively £42,000. I've got the £88,400 in there, tax he paid on that £20,000. So she would pay 20% tax on her £20,000 minus 6,570, because she's already got the £6,000 property income. Tax on the partnership effectively an additional 2,686. She would then pay 6% extra NI on the income. Now, as a sole trader, of course, it's calculated annually, so not the whereas, of course, if she was an employee, it would be calculated separately as a separate national insurance, and it would be 20,000 minus 12,570. I can imagine a lot of students get confused with that. And that works out 805.80. So that's set off against the 40% he's paying. Total tax saving between the couple, £4,908.20. Probably worth turning into a partnership. Additional benefits: she's now gaining national insurance towards her government pension and contribute to a private pension. She would then need to do her own self-assessment return, so there's a practical issue involved. Getting towards the end of this, so the options. Again, so quite waffly, not waffly, it's precise this one, but actually it's quite wordy. That's a better description. Waffle is not good. So one option to make her an employee. So Edward could actually employ his wife. Obviously, in marital affairs, you've got to think about the consequence of it. I don't think there's any marks for that in the exam. Or anything similar in the exam. So make her an employee. Now this would potentially mean employer's national insurance and payroll costs. Could pay somebody to do the payroll or some software. The income tax would work out the same. The difference is it's deducted at source, and she would use all of her allowance against this position, all the 12,570, not the property. She's still going to end up doing her self-assessment return though. National insurance class 1, now 1 not 4, would be a higher percentage than class 4, because it's 8% above 12,570 as an employee, but she's got status, and again, pension could be an occupational pension he works out for her. Employer's national insurance potentially an additional expense, reducing the taxable profits, so that would save Edward some money back. Current rate 13.8% above 9,100 per year, but actually everybody knows it's now gone up to 15% at the time of recording, and above £5,000. So on somebody who's £20,000, that's almost double the bill. Although the employment allowance, which has to be claimed, may reduce this. Very awkward when you're employing your wife. Last little bit, so an alternative, it is a way of getting her formally involved in the business. He could turn into a limited company. The only problem is if overall all the money's taken out, even sharing the dividends to make use of the 2 dividend allowances and her lower tax rates, they'll end up paying a little bit more overall tax. mainly because the tax on dividends, the higher rate's 33.75. The 8.75% for the lower isn't so important. Again, these numbers are in the reference material to be used. Obviously, bear in mind that corporation tax has already been paid at 19%. Could have put that one in. But as stated, he only takes £4,500 a month, so the rest therefore wouldn't be taxed as dividends, and therefore that may save a little of a problem. Emma can actually not just be an employee, she could be a director of the limited company. So, explaining this, okay, it only needed a suggestion. I maybe have gone into a little bit more detail as per examiner's comments. No conclusion or recommendation asked for. Again, earn the marks available. We don't know how many marks are available. We're probably up to 7 or 8 marks here quite easily. Anything relevant. Show the understanding and the whole concept that you could be giving somebody some genuine tax advice. Work on the written task in your exam until you get time date. Last keystroke will be recorded. It won't suddenly make them disappear. So that's task 8 dealt with. Now for the slightly more technical but easier from a written point of view in terms of structure, task 9. So open my documents. Here we go. So limited company. So task 9 is about losses. Partly limited company, partly sole traders. The sole trader one is usually a little bit harder and probably would gain more marks out on this task. Let's have a go. So, read carefully. Limited company has the following tax adjusted results. So notice this is a 0. It doesn't say minus £90,000, which is the loss they've made. But they're continuing to trade, so we're not going to look at terminal loss relief in this question. But make sure you can, obviously, as in preparation for the exam. So, 4 years, 30. Read the years carefully. Trading profits, profits on investments, and chargeable gains. So, and the rule says loss should be offset, so relieved as soon as possible. Possibly easier. We haven't got to worry about losing or wasting personal allowance with a limited company. Some mention in the examiner's report, so students get confused between limited company and sole traders. We have, of course, got lots of information in the reference material. Let's find the reference material and show what is available there. The company we're interested in now, we have 2 loss options apart from opening and terminal. We're not interested in terminal, it says that it's going to continue. We either carry forward, so we relieve them in the current accounting period and carry them forward, or we current year and carry back, which is the relevant one in this case, because of what the question asked for. The question asked for as soon as possible. In the future is not as soon as possible. We're relieving them against the past. We might even want to state that to show that we have read the question carefully. So the company to account for the loss not relieved in the current year like it to be. Right, so that one, okay, no harm in showing the examiner that you understand the 2 options. So we're going to carry it forward and back. Back, so not back, forward, back. And current. Right, now let's be precise about this. current accounting, ignore, obviously there's no qualified charitable donations in here, but they cannot be used to increase or carry a loss. Can all carry back trade losses set against total profits within 12 months. And you have 2 years to claim, so you could get a refund a year or two later. Current year carry back, not to be confused with a sole trader who can carry back a current year. We'll worry about that on part B. So I've actually got that wrong. Hopefully you spotted that one. And now I'm going to be more precise. The kind of detail that if you missed out on your original draft, you can go back, tidy up, get it right, get the marks, because this will help. Wasn't particularly wrong. Current year and carry it back against. So this would mean in fact the 25 and 29,000, so that is 54,000. There isn't didn't get that right, against the current year and the remaining 34,000 and 36,000 against previous 20, well, it's just 23. If you want to add, and again, let's be precise, you've got the reference material in the exam. There we are, and that should be enough. There's not much more we can ask about that one. Just have a quick check. The publishers. So no, it's just that one. Because I've got plenty of total taxable profits in 23. Yeah, that's all that we need to get into that answer. Not a lot more. 2 years wasn't in the publisher's answer, but again, look at the marks, make sure you're earning the marks. On to the last bit, the last written one then. So this one's going to be a bit more complicated because sole traders have options and can reverse orders of claims. A little bit more complicated. It's also possible of a terminal loss, which will come up usually in this task for either the limited company or the sole trader. So we're looking at the final 12 months, and this is simply because a main customer has gone insolvent, and therefore she's presumably owed lots of money, and oh my life, just that's the way it goes. So poor Amy, but she's done okay before. She's made healthy trading income, she was doing okay, and she's got some other income as well, which does matter towards her personal allowance. So again, we've got to be distinct here between trading income and other income, particularly on the trading loss. So let's go to the reference material. What can Amy do? Not the answer. So sole trader or partner. Future profits of the same trader is irrelevant. Again, we can put that one in just to show our knowledge. Why not? Just as we did on the other one, Amy. In terms of preserving her personal allowance, of course future profits would allow that 12,500 to be tax free, and she'd be using her personal allowance in all the previous years. So actually, in terms of total tax bill, that would actually be a better option. Again, we could put that one in if we've got time. Right, all of the available profits, and obviously it's the same trade. So if she starts to do something else, it won't count. After other elections, so she can still carry forward a loss and have a personal allowance. Current year carry back. Opening loss is irrelevant. She's not an opening business. She's been trading for several years. Again, you can put that one in if you want to show the examiner some knowledge. Bear in mind, examiners' comments about students, well-prepared students, writing more than they need to do. Will it get a mark? I don't know. It makes the examiner realise, the person marking it, that you know what you're on about. Current year carried back. Total income. So now whereas the carry forward is trade income, the same trade, the amount of loss cannot be restricted to preserve the personal allowance, as you're going to waste some personal allowance. So let's go through in any order. Amy can offset against the previous and current or current and previous. Current year would not make sense as her other income is covered by her personal allowance. Offsetting the whole 8,000 in of person allowance. Because well, 38,000, she would only but it would save her some money. Well, it will be the bit that she can use. We could be precise about it. It's around about 27,000. Of course, it's 12,570. Okay, we'll put the numbers in just to show. So it's 39,500 for the year minus 12,570. So yes, give or take £27,000. And we carry on. terminal loss. Right, let's look. Reference material, terminal loss. Trading profits of the previous 3 years LIFO based, but it's only trading profits, not her other income. Previous 3 years, claim within 4 years. She has plenty of time to claim. End of trade. She actually has 4 years to claim this. She doesn't know it. Hopefully somebody will tell her before then. So what we're going to do is on a LIFO basis, last in first out. In other words, we go backwards. So she would use 35,000 loss against 2024. So basically she's going to lose the personal allowance, and I was trying to concentrate then because I knew I was making typing mistakes. There we are, we can correct them. Her personal allowance for that year, she's only got 4,500 left, but that's different to the carry back option, where she only have £1,500. So it's basically slightly better. So against the trading income, let's get the year right, 22, 23. Going to get the 20% of the 6,000, 3,000. I was thinking, should I write £600 or should I write 20% of 3,000? Yeah, the saving an additional tab. Yeah. Terminal is preferable. She should. I'm being very definite about it. No surprise, that's what terminal relief is there for. So a little bit less tax, or more tax back, because she'll have already paid it. She's going to get some of her 22, 23 tax back, and that's pretty much it. Losses do seem to lose marks. I can understand the confusion, having taught it. Notice the difference, the carry back, carry forward variations between limited company and sole traders, almost there to confuse. And obviously the wording in the question, the first one, offset the relief as soon as possible. This one is just which is going to give her most tax back, basically, on the basis she'll have made payments on account towards the year where she's not trading. And that's pretty much it. So earn the marks, make sure you answer the right question, don't do a bit of time management sometimes. But you can just add a little bit. We could go back, we could add a wording or a bit of terminology here, change a little bit of grammar. Use those extra minutes that you normally get at the end of an exam.